Breathe, you can do it.
And it's completely out of touch. And it's insult the intelligence of the American people.
In America, we do not kill people in cold blood.
Now for what's tipping the scales, the man accused of executing a United Healthcare CEO has now hired a new high-powered attorney to fight his case in New York. Luigi Mangione now has the help of a former Manhattan prosecutor, Karen Friedman Agnifilo. She has 3 decades of experience in the criminal justice system, including her time as chief assistant district attorney there in New York. And Friedman Agnifilo is familiar with the camera, serving as a CNN legal analyst and an advisor for law and order. She's also married to one of the attorneys who's representing Sean Diddy Combs, Mark Agnifilo, who has now made this famous comment that has come through in a documentary about Diddy. This was on TMZ, and it had to do with the baby oil recovered by federal investigators.
And I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. I mean, he has a big house. He buys in bulk. You know, I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home.
So back to Mark's wife, Karen Agnifilo, who is now representing the man who is accused of killing this man here, Brian Thompson. Luigi Mangione is facing a second-degree murder charge in New York. He has not pleaded to those charges yet because he's still behind bars in Pennsylvania fighting extradition. Now, Karen Agnifilo's firm says that she will not be making any statements at this point, but we're asking how her hiring could tip the scales of justice for Luigi Mangione. Here to discuss, domestic violence expert and former law enforcement officer Claudia King and private investigator and former NYPD officer Manuel Gomez. Manuel, let me start with you. Being a former NYPD officer, can you tell me what you know of Karen Agnifilo's reputation?
Well, I know she was one formidable attorney, and he has one of the best attorneys anyone could ask for. And so, on that aspect, I think this was a brilliant move on his part and his family's part. The other thing I do know is that I don't think she's going to stop extradition to New York. So that's the one thing that I'm glad about her taking the case, because he needs to come to New York. Him fighting to stay in Pennsylvania, like I said, one of the reasons he's fighting is because he knows how bad the New York jails are. P. Diddy case has shined light on how bad Rikers Island are and MDC. So he really doesn't want to come here. But now that he's got this new attorney, I don't see her fighting. I see her welcoming the battle and bringing him to New York. And I can't wait till they bring him.
Claudia, when she was a chief district attorney and working for the district attorney's office, one of her focuses was human trafficking, sexual assault, DNA, domestic violence, mental health. She's got just an array when it comes to a background. But what do you think her presence in the courtroom will be on behalf of a man who's accused of lying in wait and assassinating a healthcare CEO?
Yeah, I mean, I think she has all this experience and she's very familiar with those courtrooms in particular and everybody in them, but I don't think that changes the evidence. You know, the evidence against Mangione is stacking up more and more every day, and I don't know how she's going to be able to fight that. You know, I think she will try maybe to fight some of the DNA or the fingerprints since she has the experience in working with those things. Maybe she'll try to fight, you know, how they were collected or what process was used. But I just don't think it's going to end up being a winning case for her at all.
Yeah, one of the questions that still remains and that we're getting bits and pieces of information has to do with his mental health at the time, this suspect's mental health. Now, of course, she is now the attorney for him in New York, but we have heard from his attorney in Pennsylvania, the one representing him as he is fighting that extradition. That's Tom Dickey. Now, he spoke to News Nation's Chris Cuomo about his client's mental health.
I think he made some knowing decisions today when we decided that we're challenging this extradition. I don't make those evaluations necessarily at this level, and so he seemed to understand my questions. He seemed to be able to interact with me, and so I was pleased with that.
Manuel, your thoughts when you're hearing that and how it may impact not only the case, but people's view of this defendant?
I don't think, well, I know for a fact the guy's not crazy. He might have some issues because, he committed a murder. But he was very methodical in his approach. He was studying, like I said, literature from the Unabomber. He was reading things on how to kill, okay? This guy was analytical, and he has nothing unstable about him, at least for not to stop him from being able to go to court and stop him from being able to understand what's happening during the proceedings. So there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be found lucid and then brought here. But his evidence of his notes saying that how he wants to kill the CEO, it's a slam dunk. For any prosecutor, this is a defense attorney nightmare, but the prosecutors got this guy 100%. His notes admit to all of it. He is the one and he's guilty. And New York is waiting.
Yeah, when I'm hearing it laid out like that, Claudia, I'm wondering if there will even be a trial in this case or if there will be any situation where they may get an agreement. But I'm not sure with this defendant if that's something he would agree to. Your thoughts?
I agree. I think he wants his voice to be heard. And so I don't know that a plea deal would give him that opportunity, that he wants people to hear more about his reasoning, why he did this, what he thinks of the healthcare system. I think he has a lot to say. I think he should plead out. That would be the wise thing to do, but I don't know that that's what he will do. I think he wants his day in court so that he can be heard.
Luigi Mangione now with a new attorney and one of the top attorneys there in New York. Claudia and Manuel, thank you so much for your analysis this hour. We do have to get to a break.